This episode of Soul Decodes is pre-recorded, but Sarah and Tia Jolie felt it compelling enough to share with you today. We hope you agree.
The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Hello, lovely we the people. This is Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips from Phillips Island. We're here at the Treehouse Studio, and I'm with the amazing writer and author, Tirri. She's a philosopher, a thinker, philanthropist, and so much more. But I felt bad last week. I felt like I was doing all the talking.
No, but I think I like the organic way this is going. Yeah. It's just in and out of conversations. And I hope everyone listening loves it. So, it's just what happens.
So,
it's not like we're at a seminar. We don't have to be rehearsed.
Right. Well, so for a brand new person listening,
yes.
Like, 'cause there's some people just kind of getting we're episode 16, 17, 18, I don't know what we are, but for a brand new person listening, just can you give 30 seconds about what was your inspiration for doing a podcast?
So I have a very big vision for my life, and this vision was implanted in my brain when I was 33. So what I'm doing now is using the platforms I can to broadcast my thoughts, and I'm a writer, so I want to sell my books. I'd love to be able to give my books away, actually. That would be fine as well. But that's what I'm doing here. I want to step into my destiny, which is very large, apparently. So,
well, this is very fun, and I'm grateful to you. I know this is your show, and you've invited me to be a co-hostess, but to me, it's been very motivational for me.
That's nice.
I've been working on Studio 17 for a while and getting ready to launch it, but I have to say that working with you on this project is really provided me some impetus to get that.
That's good.
Get that off the ground. So
life's like that, though, isn't it?
You've same way I've inspired you for health and wellness.
Oh, yeah.
You've inspired me to move forward with my personal podcast, which is
brilliant.
Which could be a lot of fun. So,
yeah.
Thank
what
you.
are you talking about at Studio 17?
So Studio 17 is going to be, first of all, it's a good news. From my world, it's a good news podcast.
Oh, thank God.
But what it is going to be is I'm going to put the focus on people who are making a difference. People like you, truthfully. I want to talk about entrepreneurs, business game changers. I want to talk about whistleblowers, disruptors, rebels, freedom fighters from across the world.
Nice.
And my vision for Studio 17 is to really bring forth truth. Now, this whole idea of truth is very different for different people. My belief is that we all have belief systems, but there's only one truth. And so
yes, it's absolutely.
I can take my beliefs. The goal for all of us is to
But how do you establish truth? That's the thing.
And this is what I was going to say is the goal for all of us is to honor and respect each other, because Sarah Tirri's got pieces of the puzzle and Tia Jolie has got pieces of the puzzle.
We hope.
And so you share with me your beliefs.
But I'm sharing beliefs and ideas. I'm not sharing truth, because I don't know what the truth
that's
is,
the point.
right? And when people say, this is my truth, it's just fucking bullshit.
That's your belief.
It's a belief. It's a point of view. It's an idea. And ideas have to be exchanged.
I love this one. It's I'm 99% sure. Okay, so you're not sure. No, I'm 99% sure. But you're not sure.
Well, you can be sure about a belief system, but I think you have to establish what truth is. And to me, the blanket for that is human flourishing for humankind. That's the trajectory we should be on. If you can get to that, then the mechanism to getting that and achieving that will feel as close to truth as you can get.
That was lovely. That was really good, because anyone who comes to me and says that they know the absolute truth really about anything.
God, I used to be a bit like that, though. When I had this big conversion, I was such a zealot, and I really thought that I was in touch with the truth, and everyone would be better off listening to me. And if you could just understand what I believe, I mean, I speak with authority and I write with authority, and I do believe my life is working to my advantage the way that I want. So I'm happy with whatever it is that I have found. So I'm talking about ideas, you're talking about ideas, and none of us, we just don't know shit. And we're just scrappling around here, building little pieces. And that's all we can do in our present state of development. But it should show up on your external reality. Mm-hmm. If you're in touch with truth, your life should look in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm.
Again, beautifully said. 30 years ago, one of my business mentors, he was making more in a month than I made in a year. Wow. But he told me, he says, because I was like you, I was like, I was so confident that I had these truths. And if somebody was deviated from what I perceived to be true, I would let them know about it.
Yeah, me too. I was quite aggressive about that.
Yeah, and so what he shared with me, he pulled me aside, not in front of people, just pulled me aside and said, let me ask you a question. Would you rather be successful in business, or would you rather be right all the time about everything?
Yeah, we got this need to be right. Great. The ego loves to be right.
Right now, I could care less,
and it's bullshit being right. It's exhausting.
It's too much work. It's like I have no problem being wrong. Like how many times being wrong. I'd rather be truthful than being right. Yeah. Like I'd rather tell the truth than be right. And the truth is, I know virtually nothing.
I know.
That's
it's a great place to start.
And so,
but we can only do what we can in our own little bubble, and hope our sphere of influence gets larger as we build our bubble. But if the truth that we're on is that everyone's sovereign, everyone's divine, I believe in the divinity of Jesus, but I believe in the divinity of you and I, right? So as long as what we're aligning with the truth, and it's a God of magnificence, what did God do? And it should be for human flourishing, nothing to do with sin, nothing to do with the devil. If you're on that trajectory, that will reflect on your external reality. And so the truth should be subjective to some degree.
I think what you just shared is the central feeling I had when we first became friends, like 7 months ago or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But it was that resonance that I felt, because I felt like you're on that trajectory towards truth without the ego involved. Like there's way too many people who are like, it's their way that's correct. And I have no room for that. Like I still will listen to them. I'll consider them.
I'm always open to points.
I'm going to be open to what they're saying, but I'm also going to find that quiet spot and run it off.
I think you said this at the beginning of the last show, that all the knowledge that we have is already in us, and we can tap into that. It is already there. It's already between you and whatever your divinity is inside. And whether that's stored in a reservoir that we call our subconscious, whether our higher self is as a result of living thousands of lifetimes, which I think we have been, but it's there and it's in us. And that is my counsel. But I still read a lot of books and I listen to podcasts. I'm still curious and I want to get information. I want to refine and hone my ideas. And I guess that's going to be a lifelong pursuit. But I find it very interesting. A lot of people have whatever pursuits. But I just love talking about religion, metaphysics, philosophy, love reading new ideas. So I'm unpacking my library, like I told you before. I have thousands of books, so I'm just restocking my new library. And I came across this book, and it's called The Rise of Man by Harold Kober. And he quoted Nietzsche. Now, Nietzsche had this idea of that we're evolving into Superman. And I think that I've thought for a long time, yes, we're evolving into something more. We can't evolve into anything if we're just dealing with our monkey mind. And my book, The Mirror World, addresses that, this monkey brain that we have. We have to that's a program running, but we can't identify with it. Let me just find this quote. So I'm not going to be able to find it.
So while you're looking for that quote, I know there's some listeners here that are going to say that there's this almighty God that's up in heaven, that's isolated, that's separated from us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you to address that. But when I say that all of the knowledge is within you, I want to share with you that you are mostly water. And one drop of water can hold the information of 1,000 libraries of Congress. Yes, one drop of water. And so we're just learning this information. I mean, so we've forgotten so much of this information from antiquity.
Is this part of your life path then? Obviously, I mean, there's multiple paths, I'm sure, but it's alerting people to the significance of water, because we've had episodes in the past where you've talked about the significance of water. And that, when you're saying one drop can hold this Library of Congress, I mean, it's hard. I mean, my imagination's got a drop of water in it, and I can see millions of books. And then this is somehow a storage system of knowledge.
Well, let me ask you this question. If I would have said the same thing when you and I were children, and I gave you this little shiny disc that was maybe 6 inches across in diameter, and I said, this disc has got 30,000 books on it, you would say, wait, what? But that's what we call now CD-ROMs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Kindle, isn't it?
It's a CD-ROM or a Kindle. Or this recording. I'm recording these on a USB stick that I can stick in my pocket. In fact, that disc, that stick that I can literally, it's smaller than, you can fit 10 of these in a pack. Like you could put like 5 in a pack of cigarettes, right? It's that small. That can hold every bit of, all of the episodes we've done. One of them can hold all of these for like a year, right? And that's just on a silly disk, like a USB drive. And those have to do with, for that substrate of that USB to hold that information, it only can have yes or no. So the electronics are either yes, a 1, or no, a 0. Ones and zeros, that's all that can hold. But when you look at vector technology, which is like the water, it's not just yes or no. One molecule is based on the angles and also the shape. So basically, how the angles of water are formed determines what information it's holding. So when I say the information's within you, we literally have libraries of Congress floating across each one of our DNA. Like when you look at your one strand of protein that's part of one part of your mitochondrial RNA or DNA, that is swarmed with water. Just one little fractal of protein is swarmed with water. And all of that water's got loads and loads and loads of information that it's got stored.
So this phenomenon about human beings, dehydrated. I'm pretty good about drinking water since we talked a few weeks ago about the significance and importance of it. So being dehydrated is terrible then. Am I on the right link with that? If you're not replenishing your body with water, somehow you're not going to be able to recall all the knowledge that is in you. Is that too childlike in its interpretation?
Well, no, maybe there's something there, but hydration is just important because, like.
But is it important that we can retrieve more from our data banks if we're fully hydrated?
So let's do a different conversation about water, because this I could talk a year about water, but essentially, the more clear your water is, there's actually a fourth phase of water that people are just discovering. Water can do many things. Like, did you know, like, if a solid, when water freezes, it floats. Every other liquid, when it freezes, it sinks. But when water freezes, it floats. That's very unique. Well, water's got like 55 or 60 very unique properties. Structured water is insulative, electrically insulative when it needs to be, but it's also electrically conductive when it needs to be. So our bodies are so magnificent, and the water works with the living membranes in our bodies. So we can talk about this a different time, but I'm just saying that the water's important.
But drinking a lot is important,
well, certainly, like if we're going to detoxify, like your kidneys and liver, like your kidneys are trying to get rid of stuff, right? They're filters. They're filtering. They need water. So if you said, well, I'll be right back to you, Julie, I'm going to go wash my hands. And then you go and squirt the soap on your hands, right? And then you turn on the faucet and there's no water.
Yeah.
Now you've got just a bloody mess.
Yeah, that's
right?
I like that.
You just got a bloody mess. So you need water to cut through the viscosity, because everything in your body is oil and water, oil and water. Well, if you're deficient on water, that's leaving mostly sludge.
Yeah. So I'm glad. So just keep up the drinking, the 8 ounces of water every 45 minutes. I've been on my new toilet, darling.
Right. So tell me, did you find your quote? You were looking at...
No, I didn't. But I'm gonna do that for next time because I want to talk about a little bit, if you don't mind, about pop culture and this whole thing with
this
Trump.
Is your podcast.
But I will. But I want to talk more about this thing that Nietzsche's talked about, Superman. So I'll read that on the next show, and then we can have a discussion about that. So I've moved into my new place, and I haven't been watching TV because I'm unpacking. But I listen to podcasts and I read a lot anyway. So Trump is on trial. So this observation I've had about this spectacle, it goes back to a little story I want to tell you when I was pregnant with my son. So I was in England, this was 30 years ago, and there was this reality TV show. It was Australian, and it was on late at night, about 11 o'clock, and it was the cameras in this family, in the household, reality TV. It's what we're doing now, it's commonplace. And I was absolutely fascinated. I'd never seen a TV show where they were just being filmed in all their bullshit, all their arguments, all their pettiness, all their love, all their humour. And I was very, very compelled by that. And that was back in 1993. So then we had reality TV came, didn't it? 10 years ago, I think it was big. And I love any biography. I love watching reality TV. I love to get into the lives of other people. I find people, I'm very curious about that. Now, we've got Trump. He's on trial at the moment, isn't he? And I haven't been watching that. I'm interested in it, but what we have is a reality TV show being played out for us in what's going on in Trump's life. It's like the Truman Show to me. You tune in, and this is how we're entertained. And we've got this human curiosity about wanting to know about other people. And now it's playing out in all the platforms that we've created over the last 20 years. And it's an absolute shit show. But what is it? What's the compulsion we have? I know. I watched the OJ trial back in whenever that was, 94, and I watched that all day long. I had a baby, and so the baby napped a lot, and I didn't have my other 2 children. So we have this fascination with this drama, but it's so icky now, isn't it? We've got this reality TV spectacle on this man who is running for president. I mean, how more grubby can we get?
Well, so what's your question?
Well, the question is, well, not really a question, but the human, we have this need to want to get into other people's lives. As a human being, we want to observe someone. And I loved this reality TV show, and I was hooked. I love any time. Oh, what's that animal running over there? With a long, my goodness, what's that? With that big, long, bushy tail.
Oh, that is what's called a foxtail squirrel.
It's huge.
It's beautiful.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they're foxtails. They're actually endangered, and so we have a family of them here. It's a love-hate relationship.
Why? Why do you hate him?
Because he eats all my food. Like, he gets to the pineapples one day before I do.
Oh, yeah, I've had squirrels that do that.
But, I've relocated some to a better place.
He's very beautiful, though.
You know what you just did? And this is you've made it come true on our show. You went squirrel.
I went squirrel.
You went squirrel. You just went squirrel.
I'm looking out behind you, and I can see all your wildlife.
What is that? It's a squirrel. No, you see all the wildlife.
Oh, it's great, but that was enormous. It almost looked like a ferret, like a very, very large ferret.
I didn't see it, but it might have been an otter, because you're looking at the lake.
Oh,
and we actually
I don't know what it was.
If it was long and flat.
What I'll do, I remember what it looked like. I'll get a picture tonight. I'll send it to you. And then
if it was long and flat, it might have been an otter.
It was long and flat, and it was big. It was this long.
It was probably an otter.
Oh, that was lovely. Because
we have some otters back there, too.
And kind of pale beige on his tail. He was lovely.
Well, there was probably a squirrel then.
Oh, God.
They
probably mated. It's a squatter, a squirrel otter.
Right.
So I haven't watched what's been going on in the news because I haven't watched TV. Is this something that you're following? Do you watch this circus going on? So
the answer is yes and no, but the group of people that I associate with are constitutional patriots, and we've been tracking this information for years. When you look at this so-called spectacle in the courtroom, I don't see the same thing that you all see. Like, first of all, I don't have cable TV. I don't watch any of that stuff. I have 100% alternative news sources.
Sorry, I just thought I saw him again.
Everything I do is just alternative news.
Yes.
And I have multiple sources of alternative news, and I formulate my own ideas, my own opinions. So I don't take some talking head on some corporate NBC, CBS, some corporate talking head that's paid to tell me how to think. No, I don't need to. I don't need
So
that.
what's your opinion of what's happening to him? Is this the witch hunt that he's telling everyone it is?
Well, first of all, that what's the easiest way to put this? If I were to tell you right now that your car is on fire, there's a good chance you wouldn't believe me. But if I walked you to the window and showed you your car's on fire, you'd feel like you have to do something, right? Mm-hmm. So this is very much what's going on here. Americans are probably the worst at being fat, dumb, and lazy. And I'm sorry if you're in the crowd and you're listening and you're fat, dumb, and lazy, but
I've been fat, dumb, and lazy at certain
But thing is, like,
life,
if you're not part of a solution, then you're part of the problem. And so, and that sounds like, oh, that's so cliche. No, it's really a thing. We've been, 150 years ago, we the people were producers. We were producers. We'd have the.
And now we're just consumers.
But now we're called
fed
consumers
with entertainment.
But now we're consumers.
Yeah.
And some of us are still producers. But if you look at yourself and you say, I am amazing and I can produce abundance, then you're going to produce abundance. But we have people now that'll leech onto the system. They want to take the minimum. They're going to, if the minimum's not good enough, it wouldn't be the minimum. It's like they want to.
How's this related to Trump?
Well, we have a bunch of people who, if they don't, there's a lot of spoiled brats. If they don't get their way, they're going to riot in the streets. They're going to fight with each other. So what we have to do is we have to slowly disclose that our systems are corrupted. Mm-hmm. Our universities are corrupted.
So is Trump part of this process where he's saying, look at what's happening?
I think he's central to it. But let me just put a caveat out there. These are my opinions, and it's based on years and years and years of studying. But it's my belief that we're at the tail end of some very extensive military operations that are worldwide. And it's been a fun thing to watch. And we're at a phase now that's what I call the public disclosure phase. So you might look at this dog and pony show and say, this is a crap show going on TV.
Well, it's just like a TV show.
But I don't see it that
real.
way. I see it a different way.
Yeah.
I see it as a necessary way to, number one, wake up people. Mm-hmm. We have to wake people up. Because if
there's going to have to be a system collapse, and that's what's going to shake the somnolence.
Well, there will be a system collapse, but it can't be overnight. It has to be a gentle collapse, like the degradation of the dollar. The fiat system, the U.S. dollar system, has to go away. It's been on a decline since 1971 with Nixon when he took us off the precious metal standard. So those things have to.
I'm going to do something a bit cheeky here, but you did say it was my show. So
it is your show,
I want to
dear.
talk about the fiat system, but I want to just do a little excerpt from a song that my son sent me, because I wanted to ask you this about this fiat system. So it's funny you're talking about this.
Well, yeah. So while you're looking that up, the whole point is...
I'll just hold it up to the mic.
Yep. The whole point is that, and if it doesn't come out, I'll dub over it, but there's a disclosure going on right now that has to be so overt and so obvious that And
the disclosure is that the system is breaking down and we've been lied to.
Well, first of all, almost nothing we've been told is truthful.
Yeah.
At the best case, there's a little bit of truth, but most of it's patently false about everything, about our money system, about the frauds that have been perpetrated.
So let me just play this excerpt for this song, because this is going to make more sense. I'll just do it for 30 seconds. Yeah. Okay. So
if I do this, that means closer to the mic.
Okay.
And this
it's
is farther
Michael
away.
Saylor. We call them poor. This is going to take a couple of seconds to load here.
Yeah. Once it's queued up, this is closer, this is farther away.
Okay. You let me know.
Real estate developers in New York City, they're not buying the real estate because they want to live in it.
Like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit.
People that use fiat currency as a store of value, we call them poor. We call them poor. People that use fiat currency, we call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. So I
Okay.
wanted to play that too, because what the hell does this mean?
All right. So, okay, a fiat.
As a car, it's an Italian car manufacturer.
Well, okay, that's what people. Yeah, there's
But
that.
I've never heard the term before.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So some of us have been talking about what's called real money, really since the 70s. If you listen to Ron Paul and libertarians, like we've been wanting to get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of the IRS for years and years and years.
And that's fiat currency.
Well, okay, so there's two different animals here. There's a difference between currency and money. Now, a lot of what's been perpetrated upon us is it obfuscates the truth. So currency and money are two different things. Currency cannot store value.
That's right, okay. So the tangibles like gold and property can.
There's all sorts of ways to store value. Like I could get a barrel full of coffee.
Yeah.
And that coffee is going to retain its value.
Yeah.
It might even get more valuable,
Right.
depending on.
So fiat currency is paper that is meaningless. It's just paper. But we assign it meaning because we've said $1 is worth $1, but it doesn't grow in value.
No, in fact, it's just the opposite. It's an insidious way of stealing from you. Because what happens is, if I can use, like, let's just say, I go to my back closet and I print some money on a little IOU, and you've got a diamond ring, and I give you my IOU for the diamond ring. Now I've got your diamond ring. It's something of value that I possess. I own it. I'm touching it. It's mine. And you can't do anything about it because I gave you this. We exchanged so-called value.
Commodities, yeah.
But then I go, and you're looking at this IOU. It's for $100, or let's say your ring's $1,000. And then I go to my closet and I print 1,000 more of those IOUs and give them to other people for other things. And I bring into myself all of the things of value: real estate, gold, buildings, everything. I give you this paper currency, which is basically worthless. I just printed it in my closet and I gave it to you with a promise to pay. But I just keep printing them and printing them.
So money in that system, this fiat system, would have had its uses at some point, but we've outgrown that now. I mean, we created money as a system of trading, and it worked for a while. Are you on the opinion that this worked for a while?
Well, I mean, currency is a means of barter or exchange. It's not a store of value.
That's what he's saying in this song, isn't he?
Yeah. So, well, different people. I'm not an economist. You know, I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid that asks a lot of questions, right?
Yeah, me too.
But true money is a store of value. So, like we like to have gold and silver, like tangible, not in some paper account.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's holding paper silver in the derivative market, they're about ready to get their butt handed to them because people are taking delivery of silver. The silver market, I don't know if you saw today's silver, it's up $1. We're about ready to enter dollar days. And I know this will broadcast later. But
what's going to happen is a good thing if you've stored silver, or it's a bad thing?
Well, okay, first of all, the system as it's set up has to go away.
And this is the fiat system.
This is the fiat system because what's happened is the U.S. dollar. There's a really good book. This is part of my personal awakening. There was a book that was put out, and I'll have to recall the author, but it was called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Wow. And the book, basically, it was a former federal agent from the United States that would literally go to these countries that had assets like oil, minerals and oil.
Diamonds.
And they would go to like Saudi Arabia and they'd say, you have oil, but we have the technology to get it. So we're going to give you a loan and you're going to pay us back the loan. And if you don't pay us back the loan, we own you. But the terms of the loan were such that they could never pay it back. So they would literally go in to a country and they would own the country economically.
But the country had to agree to this in the first place.
Well, they made it a great deal.
Right.
Because we're going to help you get this oil and you're going to be rich and famous and you're going to have...
sold them a
They
scheme.
sold them. Yeah. And those people did get that, but they surrendered their sovereignty. Yeah. They surrendered for this little bit of gold, this little bit of wonderful glorious, tangible stuff, right? For this little bit of awesomeness, you surrendered your freedom.
And so that's the Americans have done that, the British have done that, the French have done that, and we've gone in and colonized the world in the past. And then the reason we went there was to access whatever natural resources they had.
Well, first of all, the Americans learned from the British.
Yes, I know. We were a lot of
British.
badasses.
You know, this whole Commonwealth thing.
Yeah,
y'all,
I know. We were responsible for a lot.
Y'all refined that system, and you'd go into these islands, and you'd pretty much own that island.
Yeah, I know.
So you had the stick and you had the carrot.
Yeah.
And you had this
What
awesome...
is it with this tiny little island in the North Sea? How did we get to just run around the world? The sun never set on the British Empire. That's what I was told as a kid, and it was true when I was a kid.
Well, you have to take a deep dive into your royalty bloodline.
Really ought to, yeah.
Take
Probably
a look
don't want to find out.
You don't want to know where your royalty bloodline came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not English.
No, I know that.
Yeah, your royalty bloodline's a different story altogether.
I know,
so,
gosh.
Yeah.
But it's changing for the better. I mean, the British don't do that now. We don't go and plant a flag somewhere and then say, okay, we own you.
Well,
Thank God.
So we've pretty much, we're in a process now of, golly, I don't know how much to get into it, but we're in a process now of restoring sovereignty initially to the countries, but ultimately to we the peoples across the world. The idea, what we freedom fighters are doing is bringing equality, not equal outcome, but equal opportunity to the world. Yeah. And we're trying to normalize things like, we've had Zimbabwe, they've been, and Haiti, they've been ripped off and abused and raped and pillaged and stolen from pretty much everybody. And guess what? It's wrong. You need to return what was stolen from them. You need to make it right.
When I was, it's about 1990, I had a boyfriend and he lived in Harare in Zimbabwe and he was friends with, he's passed on now, Colin Campbell Morrison. So we went out to his tobacco farm and it was about an hour's drive outside of Harare. And it was just this massive estate. And his house was just enormous. It was like this palace that he lived in. And he had all these black workers that were working his farm. And then this was about maybe 5 years ago, there were riots. I can't remember when Mugabe died, but there were riots and all this land was turned back to the people that were indigenous to that. And he was killed by his own workers, he and his wife. And it was really weird seeing his name because I remember the dinner I had with him, looking at this beautiful rolling hills in the Vumba. But that was Mugabe. He had squandered, he'd taken all the money from a country. And then back in Zimbabwe, that was around the time of apartheid was still going on when I was flying for British Airways. So now that's all equaling out. But this is still a poor, corrupt country. So how long does it take for a country to rebuild after a system of depletion like that? Well,
people are depleted in different ways. There's certainly the natural resources that can be depleted, but also there's a depletion of moral and ethics. There's also a depletion of an awareness of who you are. If you've been told for 3 or 4 or 5 generations that you're a worthless slave, and now all of a sudden you have an opportunity to be a business or a landowner, that's not an easy transition.
I'm so happy that my books are written to address this because, yes, we've been brainwashed, and I don't want to get into, we've talked about that, but we have been brainwashed by religion and we have been given a phony premise. We don't know the premise of our existence and we can do what the fuck we want. And we're powerful and strong enough to do that. And we've created it all in our head. But we've been led away like sheep. We've been removed from a very, very powerful point of view. And we've been told that we're wretched. We get one life, might go to heaven. The devil's on the loose. The best we can do is sort of toe the line while we're here and then hope for some blessed afterlife. But that's not what's going on. Yeah. So this is going to happen. I mean, it's happened personally in my life. I'm free from the chains that used to bind me. But we can each be free. But then we each live in corrupt systems. America, I mean, I'm sure it is corrupt in many ways. But I've seen the world. This is the best system that I've seen compared to any of the places I've been to.
You and I agree on a lot of things, but I think America has become among the most corrupt. And I'm a former military person, but I am excited to share with you that it's coming to an end. To answer your question about this stuff on TV you're seeing, this is about disclosure. We're bringing to the world, we're showing them in full color full spectrum, big screen, the corruption in the politics, who's been purchased, who's got allegiance to what country, who got paydays, how the money was filtered and laundered.
And I don't watch TV like you. I mean, I do have cable, but is it that everything you're saying, that's not what's being talked about on cable TV,
Well,
is it?
it is now.
Is it?
Yeah, you have to know what to listen for, but there's more and more people talking about the corruption. And so we're exposing corruption in the school districts, in the police force, it's
everywhere.
It's everywhere, but we're weeding it out. Some of us call it draining the swamp, but basically we're weeding it out.
Revolution, isn't it?
It's amazing. But it's super exciting because we're living in a time, Sarah, that I'm just going to tell you, this is why I came back here to experience what we're about ready to experience. The next few years, we're going to have a chance to rebuild not just our little community. It starts at the community, but the state, the nation, and the world.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm so excited. I'm 61 years old, and I wish I was 20 again. Yeah. Because this is actually, I am 20
you don't,
again.
because you've got all this experience and wisdom. So no, you don't. But I get what you're saying.
I actually am 20 again. So,
yeah, that's right.
But what's going on is this is disclosure, and more people are.
So what's going on with Trump and all this fiasco is part of this disclosure.
Yeah,
we're supposed to look at this and think, what the fuck, basically.
Look, we're supposed to ask questions.
Yeah.
And you got these people that they're more interested in what the basketball score is than they are what's going to happen 2 generations now to their own children. And that's changing. We're seeing people at the school district say, hey, listen, we don't need to be teaching our 5-year-olds about sex. These women are standing up in front of these overpaid boards of education saying, you're not going to teach my 5-year-old about the doggy position.
No,
that doesn't belong. They want to learn about. They want to learn about how to read books. I just
cannot believe this nonsense is even having the time of day.
So there's that, but also we've been lied to about there's a legislation in place right now to dissolve the Federal Reserve. Now the Federal Reserve is not federal, and there's no reserves. It's a lie. And it's perpetrated fraud based on, you can read G. Edward Griffin's book. This is another book that's awesome. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. And it explains how the banksters from 1913 conspired to take over the banking system in the United States. That's where we started getting away from precious metals. That was the start of the slippery slope that led us to 1971 that completely ripped us off. So to go back to our previous...
So are we on the tail end of this collapsing so we can rebuild?
Yeah,
and are you hopeful that we're going to all be rebuild and there's a happy ending for everyone over time?
I am. My hope is that, my vision would be that we get to a point where we restore real money, not currency, but real money, where if I hand you a U.S. note, not a U.S. dollar, a U.S. note, that note represents some fractional part.
Isn't that still a fiat currency, though?
It'll be replacement. Because my vision would be that note...
Well, if you give me a piece of silver, I give you a box of cookies, that's tangible. But if you're just saying you get rid of the dollar, but you still replace it with
this is
paper
not
money,
a dollar. This is going to be a replacement currency.
But it's paper still.
It's going to be paper, but it's going to have an RFID little chip on it. So instead of me giving you a piece of silver, I can either give you the silver or give you the dollar. So the silver's going to the dollar's going to the U.S. note will represent.
And it's going to have a chip in it.
Well, I expect that to happen.
Right, and this will be linked up to some data bank which is going to assign its worth.
Well, yeah, nothing's going to assign its worth. That's the big difference. Right now we have these so-called experts that are economists, right? And they can twist and turn these numbers and chop these numbers and paste these numbers and they can lie to you about what's going on around you. Like, you're not going to tell me that a gallon of gas, you're not going to tell me, Sarah, that gas has only gone up 2% a year for the past 4 years. Gas has not gone up 2% a year for the past 4 years. It's gone up, it's double what it was 4 years ago. So, but if you listen to the official numbers, it's 2% a year or 3% a year or some number like that. That's garbage. We have to back away and stop listening to the experts. And what happens is as soon as we have competing money, Zimbabwe has their own money, Thailand has their own money, Japan has their own money, and it's all based on their assets, whether it's gold, silver.
What if we want to buy some mineral from Zimbabwe?
Let the free market do it.
So we would go to them and say we need whatever minerals in the ground, and then we say, what do you need from us that we could exchange? Is that just a massive barter system?
Well, the whole idea about money is like, let's just say you grow beets or you grow sugar cane, and I'm a blacksmith, right? You bring your horse in, I'm going to say, okay, I'll do your horses all year round, but you're going to give me 10 bushels of beets. Yeah. Right?
Is that sustainable? I mean, that sounds ideal.
Well, it's not
love
scalable.
It conceptually.
Yep.
I think it's beautiful. I could see living in a community where you're all just doing, and you could be, I could bring babysitting services, for example.
Right.
I could read to children as whatever my commodity is. It hasn't got to be something tangible. It could be an intellectual. But is that what you're seeing the future looking like?
Yes, but the reason that money came into play was because it helps us normalize the transactions. So I can give you $1 because you gave me $1 worth of benefit from your beets, but then you can take 20 of my dollars and I can rehoof your horse, right? So
this is the fiat currency.
Well, that's any currency because that's a transaction of an exchange of value.
Yes, okay, all
but
right,
like you were asking about like buying something. Let's just say I want to buy furniture from Denmark, right? Well, if everything's normalized to a gold standard or a precious metal standard, that means that I can't manipulate. I can't print extra dollars. If I want to buy $1,000 of furniture from Denmark, I can't just go print $1,000 and hand them this monopoly money, and then they give me their the work, their blood, their sweat, their tears that they did on this furniture, and I rip them off by giving them monopoly money. Yeah. That's not the way it should work.
No, it's absolutely
I should
ridiculous.
give them something that's traceable back to
tangible
gold or silver or platinum, palladium, or copper.
And is that in the group that you're a part of, that is the trajectory, and that's what you're going to be talking about, re-establishing a better global economy, which is fair and equitable to everyone?
My group, all we do is share information, so there's no
vision.
Plan.
Do you have a vision for how the world will look?
I do, and it involves complete freedom. So in terms of economy, I'll just leave you with this. Let me just do this one thing.
Yeah, and then I want to...
We've been sold this idea, like if you talk to an economist, well, what do? I'm an economist. What does that mean? I study the allocation and distribution of scarce resources. Okay, that's great. Your science is based on the allocation and distribution of scarce resources. But what if the resources aren't scarce? It kind of blows you out of the water, doesn't it?
Right.
So when you come with the idea of abundance, that we have an abundant world, and then it completely defeats your whole premise of being so-called expert. You don't even question your own premise. Now, if you look at what's called that, a lot of what we study for our whole lives is called Keynesian economics. I'm an advocate of what's called Austrian economics, which is, if you read the works of von Mises, von Mises was one of the Austrian economists, and he was all about letting the free market determine the value of something. If you want to go buy potatoes at this store, and the potatoes are $10 a pound, and then you come to Phillips Island and I'm $2 a pound, that store that's selling them for $10 a pound for sweet potatoes, they're going to have to lower their price.
Yeah, otherwise no one's going to buy them.
Because otherwise they're going to rot and stink, and nobody's going to buy them. They're all going to come to Phillips Island.
So the free market in this Austrian dude's philosophy, it'll all actually take care of itself then. It'll establish itself.
Yeah.
Everyone has to sell potatoes for a similar price, otherwise you're going to outdo your neighbor who's wanting to sell them for $10.
Right. And so, and that'll work. So what my vision is, and we'll talk about my project, my Earth Angel project, but my vision is to try to connect people as locally as possible So those exchanges of value can happen without the involvement of the local government, the state government, or even the federal or world governments. The exchange of value, press it as low as possible. That would be my vision. So
that's a great vision. Just before we wrap up, so just back to what led us here, so Trump.
Yeah.
So all this dog and pony show, this is all what is supposed to be happening. This represents this icky collapse that we need all these systems to be exposed. So this is a good thing. Is that your take? What's happening to Trump? This is part of all this breakdown. It's a fiasco. And he's having to endure this.
Yeah.
But this is a good thing.
It's one of two. It's an awareness, but it's also the introduction of evidence. So how do you legally introduce evidence into a court system? You have to be, because if Trump is allowed to defend himself, he's allowed to introduce evidence. So what you're going to see is that whether it's the raid that they did on Mar-a-Lago or any of these shenanigans, all of it is to introduce evidence into a corrupted system. It's like a Trojan horse.
So he's happy about this then, Trump?
Well,
he's
I'm not,
thinking, bring it on, baby.
When you look, he's not afraid. I'll just tell you that.
No,
he's not afraid. He's not
afraid.
afraid. He doesn't look like the type of man that's afraid right now. And believe me, I've never met the guy.
No,
I'm just calling it like I see it. I'm a libertarian. I'm a Ron Paul girl. So
right. Interesting stuff. Yeah. Well, that was.
We're just going to see what happens.
See what happens. To keep our fingers crossed and keep a big vision. But I think systems do have to collapse, and that's happened throughout history. So we're just watching another one, and it's coming in a reality TV show format, and it's like the Truman Show, and it blows my mind. I'm not actually going to watch it, but
I love the Truman Show. We're good. We got to talk about Truman Show sometime, but it's always such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's
and
been lovely.
Thanks
Thank you so much.
for coming out to the Phillips Island again.
Always. Look forward to the next one.
Hope you well.
Yes, you too.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.